Hello, I'm Dr. Thomas Maples, and welcome to a new segment that today I'm going to explore a topic that stood out to me on the radio this morning as I was driving into work. I overheard an individual talking about the absence of fathers in this country and more of the global phenomenon of we may have fathers, i.e. people that have been involved in the creation of who we are as individuals, but we are lacking dads. And so it was an interesting segment that I decided really stood it brought out a few things for me that I wanted to address here. And so this originally was called the Philosopher's Corner because I'm trained as a psychotherapist. I have a PhD or a philosophical doctorate in psychology. But what I see here is more of a deeper problem than just what transcends academic fields such as psychology or philosophy in general. What I see is a lack of presence as it relates to a foundational block in our life, and I see this really as a social problem that is permeating itself throughout our life. So outside of the academic institutions that would study behaviors or sociology or psychology, there's a presence that is there's a lack of presence of fatherhood in our society. And so what I wanted to begin was sort of a forum that allows individuals to talk about their experience as it relates to the masculine and the fatherhood in general, and to look at really what it is that is lacking, and to try and pull out the degrees of knowledge that are present within the masculine. I've engaged it from a mythical perspective in the past. I write extensively on the subject within my blog, and I want to begin vlogging about it as well to open dialogue with you, whoever will watch this video, to really find ways that we could amplify and build upon the things that we have versus try and negate and focus on the things that are lacking. And so one of the things that stood out to me was a young lady today on the radio was mentioning that she had a father, but she was lacking a dad, and because of this, she didn't know how to find the presence of love to engage with a man upon this form of lacking relationship that she had with the person that was her dad. And I'm sure this is a very collective phenomenon. A lot of people probably focus on this. And the reason that they focus on this is really where our mind is geared to focus on. We look at the things that we're lacking and we initially assign this is the area of the problem. And it very well could be a major area of the problem, but what happens when we do this, we automatically assign fault and we forget the second part of what is present, and that is in the absence that is there, in the fault that is there, what element have we adopted within our life that allows us to move in a direction that allows us to overcome it? What are we lacking within ourselves to allow us to identify it and figure a path to move towards rectifying that absence and therefore allowing it to fulfill our life? And so I entitled this piece, "To Find Love." She loves me not. Or he loves me not. Now, how do we find love? when we find love, we're out searching for a vision. And this is really the foundation of what it is that we're searching. But if we come from a place of lacking, what ends up happening is we fill that void with anything that is present. And really the things that are present within our life are the things that we're most accustomed to. So that's what we begin to attract within us as it relates to the relationships that we have. And so if we had a lacking relationship, well, we may be able to point outwards, you know what, I didn't have the best relationship with this person or that person. Therefore, that's probably why I'm not able to have a positive relationship now. This is really a crux found in any form of psychotherapy. It's we actually have a joke about it. If it's not one thing, it's a mother. And the closer to the truth you get, the farther and farther away you are. We always point outside that it could be mom, it could be dad's fault. But really what we begin to do as we age, we begin to find social relationships that fill that void, that end up amplifying its themes and end up carrying itself throughout our lives until we decide to get off the merry-go-round and to just simply walk down another street. And so when I hear this, what I really was drawn to is the need to displace blame here. This is one part of the psychological equation. It's okay that, you know what, maybe you didn't have a positive relationship with your parents, or maybe you had a wonderful relationship with your parents and they spoiled you. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? And so really it's in the eye of the beholder. And so what we have to do on any journey to find a deep sense of belonging and psychological love is we need to take these elements of our foundation. We need to take this childhood memories that we have, and we need to let them just be, because as the great Wayne Dyer once said, it's sort of all just part of the wake. It's what's left behind us. But the energy is moving us forward. And so if the energy is to find love, what it is, we have to make room for it within our lives. Now, in making room for it in our lives, what is it that we want? Where do we want to go? Begin to identify and define that. Now, this is present moment. This isn't past tense. This isn't what we had, because if we always focus on the past and we look behind us, that is very much what we had. But if that's not what we're looking for, why are we continuing to look behind us? We need to look forward and to identify the vision of what it is we want. Then we begin to test it, and then we begin to move towards it and plan for it. And eventually we end up seeing ourselves in that present moment, which then again is behind us. And so anytime that we look at identifying a concept such as love, we have to make space in our life, and we have to create a vision in our life. And this really stood out to me because I heard this person on the radio speaking how, you know, because there was this absence present, and I feel for her, I do. Because there's this absence present in her life, she can't find these things that are moving forward. Well, that's because the focus is on the wake. It's on what's behind her, not what's in front of her. Now, when you begin to define, this is who I want, how I would like them to be, these are the methods by which I'm going to measure the success of my ability to relate with the person, then you begin to make space in the heart for that person to arrive in your life. Are they going to be perfect? Absolutely not. You're going to have work, and that's part of the what happens after happily ever after. But when you get to that point, when you're open for that growth to begin, that's where you begin to meet the individuals that help bolster you up not push you down. And so it's not a process of being able to blame mom or dad, because that's an easy excuse. It's always their fault. They raised us. They did the best that they could. But what ends up happening is now we're allowed space to grow within, to be in charge of our own exponential growth, and to move that forward, to advance confidently in the direction of our dreams. So I hope you enjoyed this segment, and I look forward to many more to come, and we'll talk soon. Bye.